And welcome. Welcome to another episode. Well, the first YouTube live episode of Down with the King. I am your humble host, the Fantasy Typhoon, aka the Mentalist. Now, I know you all used to the tube now. Fantasy Football One-on-One Studios, Typhoon TV, has been presenting you with 2 minutes with Typhoon. 2 minutes with Typhoon, a new show that we just created here. Just something just to keep things moving. I plan to do each and every single rookie. I plan to do each and every single player that's playing the National Football League. 2 minutes. Well, let's just call it 3 minutes with Typhoon. I do the disclaimer first. I want you to understand what's going on. I want you to understand the basis of the show. And, maybe later on as, I continue down the road, I might clip that from the show. But as of right now, I'm acclimating myself. Just getting used to YouTube. Just getting settled in, just trying to see my parameters, testing things here and there, just trying to see what works and what doesn't work. Oh, hey, live. Welcome, Facebook Live. Welcome, Periscope. Welcome, Periscope. And also, thank you, everybody, listening to the Down with the King podcast, which is being recorded live right now as well. Like I said, we're trying to enhance our arena and our reach. We're trying to enhance our reach to the masses, get a grip on you, get this content out. We've been underground long enough. I've been flying underground long enough, testing these theories, testing, my vetting process of how, we come to our recommendations. And like I said, what we do, we give recommendations. Let me give you a disclaimer now. Like I said, we give recommendations here at Fantasy Football One-on-One Studios, Typhoon's TV, Down with the King podcast. We give recommendations. We don't try to sway you one way or the other. We try to give you an unbiased analyst. And on top of that, our mantra of the show is that we come from an NFL base. We try to keep our content mostly concentrated with real NFL tidbits and philosophies, head coaches' tendencies, schemes, to come to our conclusion. Now, we mix in metrics and, height, weight, hand size, all of that is all part of a piece of a huge puzzle, you can do what you want to. But at the end of the day, if you weigh one too highly than it really should be, then you're gonna not come to good conclusions. Like, let's say for instance, if you look at too much film and you weigh too much film, you're skewed. You have to find the right fit, and then if you use too much numbers, it's skewed. And if you leave out, well, coaches don't matter, then now all of it's skewed. You see what I'm trying to say? And that's what we try to do here, is try to shift your mindset over from fantasy to the NFL, because we don't want you playing fantasy football. I know it sounds crazy, but we don't want you playing fantasy football, meaning a fantasy in your head that will never happen. Something like Bishop Sankey. We don't want you sitting there thinking that your rookie that you're picking up is going to break out and going to be a super stud, when in reality it's a fantasy. It's never going to happen. The scheme won't let it happen. The coaches won't let it happen. The metrics won't let it happen. You see what I'm saying? The fit won't let it happen. It's all about the fit. When it comes down to the holy grail of our analysts, is kind of based on fit. So we have the Sony Michelle video up on the YouTube channel. Make sure you comment on this video. I want to see some comments here, folks. Let me know. First, Down with the King, YouTube Live, Periscope Live, and Facebook Live podcast. And download on iTunes. You can find us on Podcast Garden as well for my regular subscribers. Like I said, we're coming out from the dungeon. We're coming up. Time to bring our analysts to light. Like I said, the vetting process has been tweaked. So now we're at a point now where we want to reveal ourselves. Like I said, the Sona Michelle video is up on 2 minutes with Typhoon, first release, Sona Michelle. And strange thing, I'm kind of glad I put that out last night, early in the morning, about 1 a.m. I finished it and it released it. I haven't really released it yet because my draft isn't complete. So I have all these rookies just sitting in queue. And once my rookie draft is complete, I'm sorry, I got to eat too. Typhoon's got to eat too. I can't reveal all my stuff and then have my league mates coming in sniping me when I know, because they'll have a heads up on what players I like. I really can't do that. So you got to bear with me here. So I can't release it until my own rookie drafts are finished. So bear with me, folks. Bear with me. But landing spots. Now let's talk about those landing spots. Because at the end of the day, the landing spot is the golden thread that connects the golden thread, the common thread, the golden thread that is woven all the way through your analysts and your process and your studs. All right, let's say for instance, let's take Alvin Kamara and Kareem Hunt. Let's pick on them for a minute. Because that's the best indicator. Because if you're looking at, let's say draft, you're looking at depth charts, right? Well, he has a best chance to play. Now that factors into it too, if the system fits. Now you got free agents sitting out there like Dez Bryant, Brandon Marshall, DeMarco Murray, C.J. Anderson, and many, many more out there that can really come in. They're just waiting to play spoiler on your so-called Christine situation. So that is a piece of the puzzle. It's not the end-all, be-all, but the main way is what I'm trying to get you to get is the common thread to the studs is fit. Now, when you look at Alvin Kamara, modified spread system, perfect fit with Sean Payton, a good mind that can move him around, and give him what you call option routes. Now, option routes now, I know a lot of you are calling for Alvin Kamara's demise next year because you were just overwhelmed and you just, no, there's no way he can do that again, There's no way he can reproduce what he just showed us. And yes, he can. Because once you understand option routes, it's basically a two-way go. When Alvin Kamara comes out the backfield and he's in the flat, he's in a two-way go, folks. He can run the shallow cross, he can run a Texas, he can run a wheel, or he can run a comeback. It's all dictated upon what defense is in, whether it's zone man or sometimes they're doing quarters and halves, single high. All that dictates what route Kamara is going to run. And that was so shocking and surprising when I went back in the lab and did my research on Kamara. Well, why is Kamara dominating like he is? There has to be an explanation. And the explanation we here at Fantasy Football 101 could come up with were the option routes. Now, Odell Beckham run the option routes. Antonio Brown run the option routes. Julian Edelman run the option routes. It's not a whole lot of wide receivers that run the option routes. And those that do it well, and they are high in fantasy production. And they got a hard stop. It's kind of unstoppable for the simple fact that they don't even know what they're doing. They're dictating what they're reacting off the defense. It's not like, let's say you got an X receiver to receive over to the far left. He's on a go route. And maybe his audible could be a hot read or a quick out. He doesn't have a full, just a full two-way go. You see what I'm saying? There's a hot read to where, okay, you see the guy blitz and then you do this. That's basically his alternative. But Kamara's alternative, like I said, was shallow cross, Texas comeback outs,
and sometimes just finding the dead spot in the zone and just sitting there. And Alvin Kamara picked it up, which was huge. Didn't think he was going to pick it up. But remember when it first started out, and I made this mistake. That's why we make mistakes. That's what we're learning. We're tweaking things over here too. We're putting things in our toolbox too. We listen to your podcasts. We hear you. And we pull some of that stuff and put it in our toolbox. But when we do, we really do try to give you credit for it. We don't just try to take your stuff and your nuggets and and your analysts and then bring it over to us and then don't give credit where it's due, because man, hey, we're all in the same community together. When you take somebody's stuff or when you're borrowing somebody's stuff, really, try to give them their credit due. They deserve it, especially if they invented it or came up with that. But so when you're looking at Alvin Kamara, the fit was more important because when you first looked at it, what did you see? A crowded backfield? You was like, oh man, AP is in the house. Ah man, he's got to overtake Mark Ingram. He won't get any playing time. Then sooner or later, the impediment, what you call AP, was shipped out to Arizona. Bam! Here comes Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is a stud coming for you. Option routes, all of it. Alvin Kamara is on the scene. And, we here at Fantasy Football 101 don't really see, that demise that a lot of folks are talking about. I don't know. We don't see it. Then you look at Kareem Hunt. He comes in, Spencer Ware's on top of him. Charkandrick West is breathing down his neck. Another murky situation, but Kareem Hunt, once again, is a good fit for the offense. For the simple fact that, they run the modified West Coast system over there with Andy Reid, and they run the zone blocking system, which is perfect for Kareem Hunt. And what's the number one attribute that the running back must bring to the table in his skill set to make him good in zone blocking, inside, outside, stretch zone systems? No, not that. It's not speed. He can run a 4.6 40. So you throw that out. Throw that metric out the door because that don't matter. Wiggle, low pad level. Nope. Throw that out the door. It matters, but that's not the main thing whether you will succeed or fail in the zone blocking system. Inside, outside, stretch. The number one thing that your running back skill trait has to possess in that type of system is vision. He's got to be able to see it. He's got to be able to put his foot in the ground and go get it because it's one cut system and it's a cutback. And then you stretch it all the way out to one side and then you wait for your cutback lane because there's no power elements to it. You got smaller linemen. So it all works into the puzzle. And Kareem Hunt. Now, if you put Kareem Hunt over there where Alvin Kamara is, that's not a good fit. But if you take Alvin Kamara and you put him over there with Kareem Hunt, he could get it done, not like he is in New Orleans. You see what I'm saying? It's fit. Trying to get you to see fit is the number one thread on the list. It's not the end all be. You just can't say, well, he fits and that's it. Corey Clemens, Philadelphia. Fit. You know what I'm saying? So now when you're looking at, let me pick on somebody right quick. Who's a rookie I can pick on right quick? Let's say Rashad Penny. Right? What are they switching over to? Tom Cable's out the door, got rid of him with his own blocking system. Now they're bringing in more power system. So now you got to read helmets. You see what I'm trying to say? You got to read the shade of your blockers now for your vision as far as getting to your hole. It's more dictated on what you need to do as far as freelancing with zone blocking. Chris Carson, he's zone blocking. So that kind of hurts him and hurts his value. Now, I'm saying he can't do it and can't learn how to do it. I'm just saying there's a fit. And I haven't really looked at Rashad Penny yet to see if he fits that system yet. But now we're picking on him. Let's just get into my analogy of these players coming in now. Okay, close your eyes. Well, if you're not on the road or whatever, just think. Close your eyes if you can, and just sit back and think that you're in Walmart, right? You're in Walmart. You got your fast checkout where you can just put your items in the bag, by yourself, self checkout. You can do the self checkout, right? Then you got the deep lane where there's not 20 items or less. You got the deep lane where, folks buying groceries for like 2 months. You see like 10 people in that aisle. And you're sitting there looking at that like, oh, God, I'll never get out of here. Then you got the 20 items or less aisle. And then you see a whole bunch of folks in line there. So, and that line is moving, but it's not moving as fast as you think it is. Now, that's what your backfields and your wide receiver situations mirror. You got one guy over here looks like he has the fast lane to success, right? And that is your self checkout. He's already top running back on the roster, and it looks like a slam dunk, right? Then but he doesn't fit. Then you have the guy in the long aisle, and you're like, oh God, it's just flooded here, like you saw to Michelle. It's just flooded. He can't win out there. There's too many. There's just too much going on. I don't have time to wait for that. Then you got the other guy who, has a couple of hurdles to jump, and you can kind of see him getting to glory, but you know what I'm saying? There's a couple of people in the way. Now, let's say, for instance, you're in the fast checkout, right? You're in the self aisle. You thinking this is your running back or your wide receiver or tight end or quarterback that you think has a fast track to playing time, because you're looking at it more from a depth chart aspect, And let's say in the self checkout aisle, the power goes out for the self checkout aisle. Now, all of a sudden, your whole situation changes. Like let's say you have Royce Freeman or something, and then boom, DeMarco Murray shows up. Or, let's say they get out to OTAs and these rookie mini camps, and they're watching Freeman. Elway is sitting there looking at Freeman like, that's not what we really, it's not what we saw. That's not what we saw. That's not what we saw. You see what I'm trying to say? So I'm not picking on Royce Freeman by himself. I'm just using him as an example. I'm just using all running backs and wide receivers as an example. So don't just flock to the easy checkout lane thinking, well, he has to be fantasy relevant because he has the easiest road to stardom. Power could go out. And then you could be in the long lane where folks are buying groceries for 2 months, and then all of a sudden, cashier comes out of nowhere, right beside that lane, turns on the light, now they're open for business. They say, next person in line, come here. That's kind of like your Kamara situation. You thought it was crowded. Let me bypass that. Can't pick Kamara. I know he's good, and I know it fits, but man, he won't play this year. AP's there, man. You got Mark Ingram eating up all the first and second down duties, and anchor pass catch, anchor pass pro. Man, I'm not messing with Kamara. It's the line's too long, and all of a sudden AP's kicked out. The lady the person came to the cashier, turned on the light. Hey, next person in line. So, and then you got your other guy down there in the 20 items or less checkout, and it's moving a lot faster than what you really thought it was. So all I'm just trying to get you to see that from the analogy is, the situation matters, but don't let that be the end all be all, and you just jump for a running back like you remember Bishop Sankey. All right, got to pick on that for a minute. A lot of folks, was on Bishop Sankey. We were trying to tell folks, no, no, don't do it, 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 don't do it. Well, he has a clean road to health. He's top running back on the depth chart right now. So it's a little bit more than depth chart. What I'm trying to get you to see. A little bit more than depth chart to this thing. But the number one thread is fit. For the simple fact that if the player fits like Kamara and then the impediment is moved out of the way, now you got something. Now you on to something. Now you're talking. Here we go. Now you can put them in, set it and forget it and sit back, laugh on Sundays, and take your way on to your fantasy championship. So I just want to touch on that for a minute and just let you guys know it's a little bit more. It should be. Now you can do your analysis in the way you choose. That's up to you. We just here making recommendations, trying to help you put stuff in your toolbox. All of us, what did your fantasy player, what do you want your player to say during this time of year? Oh, we're just trying to get better. Oh yeah. He's at the podium. Excuse me, question. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh really? Yeah, we're just trying to get better. We're out there right now. Josh Rosen has called us all together, and he has us, over at the other field, and we're coming in on our days off, and we're just throwing the ball around. We're running routes. We're learning together. We're running plays. We're just trying to get better. Yeah, we're just trying to get better. So you want your players trying to get better. You should be trying to get better. Each and every year, you should take a step forward. What I try to do is each and every offseason, I try to read a book. I try to read some sort of fantasy. I try to read some sort of book about the game to help enhance me. Hold on one second. And right now, this is what I'm reading. Just a simple. One of my guys recommended it to me, and I went ahead and added this to my library. It's a simple book. Really doesn't get too deep, but it really does understand watching football, and it does help you understand where the ball is going, the schemes and things that's happening from a fullback's perspective. And it's a good read thus far. So off season, I always try to pick up some book to try to help my analysts better, to help me understand the game better. Because while I understand the game better, that makes me better as an analyst. So just thought I'd pass that along too. Do what you want to do. Well, at the end of the day, it's you. We just making recommendations here. Now, a lot of folks out there, I'm getting a lot of questions about folks being, aspiring to be scouts. And I'm not a scout. And I'll tell you, I'm not a scout. But I do have an ex-scout who's been in the front office, working close with the general manager of Tennessee Titans, over there with Bill Belichick, and I got him on speed dial, and we talk a lot, and he's been teaching me a whole lot of things, especially about in your scouting thing. Now, I'm not a scout. I'm telling you, scout projects to the next level. A lot of scouts, a lot of folks you see are information gatherers, or what I want to say, scouting for college. You look at Josh Rosen. Let's pick on Josh Rosen. Let's pick on Josh Allen for a minute with the inaccuracies. You kind of pick on Josh Allen, and you're just giving us information on Josh Allen. Where he's 50% completion percentage. You're just giving out information. You're just telling us what he is now. There's nothing in that analyst that is like a NFL scout telling you what it will look like at the second level. That's what scouting is. Scouting is like taking Josh Allen out of Wyoming and placing him in Buffalo. But
while you're picking him up from Wyoming and placing him in Buffalo, you're telling us what skills and what's going to happen, what you foresee in Buffalo. You know, it has to grow. Like a lot of folks, you know, say players can't catch, which is, you know, running backs can't catch, which is good. It's a good analyst, but you have to explain, first of all, why he can't catch and if it's fixable. Because at the next level, first thing they're going to learn how to do is catch. Pass protection is another thing in some cases. You know, it might take them a year or so. Pass pro can be taught at the NFL level. Teaching running backs how to catch out the backfield can be taught at the next level is what I'm saying. So if you're using that as a huge, well, don't draft him, he can't catch. Well, wait a minute. Do you foresee him being taught that at the next level before you make that assumption? Because look, when you're trying to be a scout, you're a detective, you are a problem solver. It's not the simple fact that you write down Josh Rosen has a 58 or whatever percent completion percentage. You got to tell why his completion percentage is so dismal. Like, you know, is he pointing his foot at his target? Can he see? Is he processing good? Is something wrong with his eyes? Does he need glasses or contacts? Is his throwing motion elongated? Was the play just too much for him? Can he just read one side of the field? Was there a linebacker or defensive lineman in his face, which altered his throw? You know what I'm saying? So there's a whole lot of you got to answer these things. If you want to be a scout, you are a problem solver. You have to solve problems. So in the same fact as Baker Mayfield being accurate, well, why was he accurate? You see what I'm saying? It's not just that. It's not just put down that and then kind of dance around it. You got to explain why. Basically, what you're doing, you're painting a picture with words. You're putting it out there in words like poetry, telling why Baker Mayfield is so accurate. You put down Baker Mayfield as accurate, and then you go like off into another 2-3 paragraphs, just explaining to your reader of your report why he's so accurate. Bring them into it. Sit them down beside you and let them see what you see. That's what scouting is all about. Explaining what you saw. That's all. It's not like low pad level, good wiggle, runs fast, out his brakes, dips in his hips. Come on, that's not true. If you want to go to that next level, is what I'm just trying to get you to that next level from what scouts tell me. That's what separates your work and will take your work to another level and elevate you as an aspiring scout to where your work can get noticed. Then you can use the avenue of your social media to get noticed, and maybe somebody could come give you a call up, give you a shot, because you painted such a beautiful picture with your words and you solve problems. You're solving for X. You know what I mean? So that's just one thing I just want to throw out there for you aspiring scouts. And the Cleveland Browns. Now, when you look at the Cleveland Browns, they got better all the way around. John Dorsey has just done a wonderful job already. You send Deshaun Kaiser and Cody Kessler out the building. Bring in Tyrod Taylor and Baker Mayfield. You're already better. Then you bring in Chase Daniels, as another reinforcement. Then you got another guy in for a camp on. So you already got better at wide receiver. So you're better. Right? Then you take your running back room. You got Duke Johnson in there ready to catch out the backfield, which is his strength. Then you bring in
Nick Chubb, rookie. The knock on him is that he can't catch out the backfield. I'm not so fast to even put that on him right now. Projecting him to the NFL level, I think he can do it. Then you look at Carlos Hyde, which is the complete back. He's the complete back, but the tandem of Duke Johnson and Nick Chubb is better than one. What I want to say, the tandem of Nick Chubb and I just said his name. The tandem of Nick Chubb and what's the guy's name? The guy from Florida State. The guy at the backfield is better than that tandem is better than Carlos Hyde. So they're better off running Nick Chubb. God, what is his name? Hold on one second. Okay, let's pick this back up. Let's try it this way. My good friends over at rosterresource.com. Make sure you swing by there and make sure you try and use their content over there. It's real good content. Real good breakdown of depth charts and who's been added, salary cap, what round each and every player was drafted in. Let me just give you a synopsis of what's going on here at Roster Source. And this is what I use here especially when I'm trying to do breakdowns such as this. Duke Johnson. All right, now look. First of all, let's take that's 2017 schedule. Pretty sure they'll switch that over right here. 2017 schedule. I'm pretty sure they'll update this with the 2018 schedule. Now you take a look at what they did. Everybody know Cleveland went 0-16. We're getting ready to break down the Cleveland Browns right quick. I'm going to just take you inside the mind of Typhoon and us here at Fantasy Football One. We here at Fantasy Football 101 kind of pull back the transparency and let you see kind of how we come to these recommendations of what we do, how we do it. You got John Dorsey came in, Hugh Jackson. Now look, Hugh Jackson. Let's talk about Hugh Jackson for a minute. Hugh Jackson is a wild card in all this. We here at Fantasy Football 101 think that Hugh Jackson, Dorsey kept Hugh Jackson because Hugh Jackson fought off Sashi. We here at Fantasy Football 101, we have no one to sign off on this, no one to back us up, but we think Hugh did Deshaun Kaiser a disservice. It's like he set him up to fail, so that could reflect back to Sashi and reflect back to the point that he wanted to bring in the guy from the backup to Andy Dalton, A.J. McCarron. Hugh loved A.J. McCarron, so let's just be real with that. Hugh wanted A.J. McCarron bad. Seemed like Sashi kind of tanked that. So it looks like they're in a war for who's going to be here next year was the war. Either Sashi, you got to go, or either Hugh, you got to go. Both of y'all are not coming back. One of you is going to win the battle, and I think that Deshaun Kaiser pick is the leverage Hugh used, and went behind Sashi's back to get him eliminated from the situation, which is why Hugh stayed over. Now, the owner went and hired Dorsey. Now, Dorsey is in total control of the situation, and now Dorsey is the one looking over Hugh's shoulder now. So Hugh went out, brought in Todd Haley as the offensive coordinator now, dropped both head coaching and offensive coordinator duties, which he carried last year. So hopefully that'll make him better as a coach. I always wondered how in the world did Hugh and Sashi make it back, but that is what it is. As you can see now, John, we can really go through the depth chart now. As you can see, Dorsey is already doing an excellent job. There's a lot of talent on his roster. They should not go 0-16. No way, shape, form, or fashion. And we at Fantasy Football 101 think Todd Haley is already in position to take over as head coach next year when Dorsey fires Hugh Jackson. Now, that could be all hypothetical, but that's kind of what we hear at Fantasy Football 101 thing. Now, when you look at the quarterback situation, that's already better than last year. Traded with Buffalo, brought in Tyrod Taylor, drafted first round, first pick, Baker Mayfield, Drew Stanton coming in, as a free agent backup, kind of practice squad type thing, just to be overlooking, just in case something happens. He's a easy call up. Look, they got a power ranking for these guys too. Joel Stave, he's a camp on. So now, when you're looking at this offense, what you want, the first thing you want to do is the offenses are made and schemed and designed from the inside out, starting from the center. It starts from the center and goes out to the wide receiver, and center to the X receiver this way. You read inside out, right? If you get the best center here who's in tandem with your quarterback, you get a good left tackle, you get a good guard and your tackle, get your good tight end, then you can have decent receivers and still make it, which is what the Cowboys are getting ready to do. They're built to run, and they're just winging it on the wide receiver situation. Look at Jacksonville. Stout from inside out on the offensive line, but and the running game is strong. Outside receivers, hey, we just need some guys that are competent. We don't need like super studs. Studs come in and compensate when this here is lagging. So that's the first thing you look at. Now, when you go back and look at the offensive line from last year, everybody was saying, "Oh, Cleveland Brown got a good offensive line." No, they don't. Offensive line was horrible last year. That was a myth. They got a lot of false starts. They were offsides a lot, killing a ton of explosive plays. Got called back, for that. False starts. Too many offensive linemen were downfield illegally. Just too much. They got flagged for offensive linemen downfield. Just too much. And we're blaming Hugh for this. Like I was saying earlier, I think Hugh just wore too many hats and tried to do too much to where this team weren't able to execute on the field on Sunday. They were, no matter how much talent you have on the field, if they aren't coached well to where they understand what they need to do, their job, like Bill Belichick says, do your job. They understand what their job is. No matter how small or how big it is, they understand what they're supposed to do on Sunday, and they go out and execute it. This team was just a bad showing. I don't care how talented it was. 0-16 is on a whole lot of people's back. Do you know how hard it is to go 0-16 in the NFL? That's hard to do. To lose each and every single week. That's hard to do. But now you bring in Tyrod Taylor, Baker Mayfield. You got Carlos Hyde, Duke Johnson, Nick Chubb. Matt Days is something too. He's not a super stud or anything, but it's not like that's Sashi. Sashi brought him in. That was a good pickup. Sashi did some good work. Sashi did some good work too now. Sashi just didn't get a quarterback. That's what got him fired, and he should know that. So I kind of blame him for that. You got to have a quarterback. You can't continue to trade out picks, even though it's a good strategy. But if you don't have a quarterback and you just keep losing, you just can't keep sacrificing loss year after loss year after loss year just to keep, accumulating picks. So sooner or later you got to do something with the picks. Sashi just ran out of time,
and his master plan just didn't get a chance. He had to abort his master plan, but he should have picked up a quarterback sooner rather than later. But you got Carlos Hyde. Now, like I was saying earlier, Nick Chubb and Duke Johnson together make a better 1-2 punch than Carlos Hyde does by himself. Now, Carlos Hyde is on a 1-year contract. I know it says 4 years. It's just paper. Guaranteed money, like I said on my last podcast, is all up in the guaranteed. It's all when it comes down to his contract. Look at the guaranteed money. He's getting guaranteed money this year. So next year, they can cut ways with him. Now, if Nick Chubb wakes up, does what we think he should do, he's excellent between A and B gap. Now, first off, we got to figure out where is the power at. That's where you kind of figure out what scheme is going to be ran, because we don't know what scheme they're running right now. We don't know what Todd Haley's drafting up. Maybe, and as of right now, Todd Haley probably doesn't know. Todd Haley's drawing it up, but he's looking and watching what he has coming in via the rookies, and and what he has with Jarvis Landry being added to the table. Looking at film on them, he has a good idea of what he has, but he really doesn't know until he sees them in minicamp. That's when he be like, okay, now I know what I have. Now I'm getting ready to implement this. I'm getting ready to implement that, and blase this, blase that. That's when right now they're just doing a basic install. It's not the meat and potatoes. Meat and potatoes coming in training camp. Right now it's just the shell of an install. Like, let's say, for instance, Nick Chubb. All right, Nick Chubb reported to rookie minicamp, right? Came in, what they did, they measured him all over again. Put him in the weight room again. What he did, he got with his strength coaches. They gave him a plan, a workout plan. Then he got with his conditioning coaches, strength and conditioning coaches. All of them got together, gave him meal plans, and then he got with the running backs coach. They all got together. They have a weight where they want him at. So now he has a plan to come in, whether they want him to lose weight or gain, whatever they want him to do. He has a plan now of what's expected of him from him as far as his body is wide. So when he reports to camp and he misses that threshold, that's a knock on Nick Chubb going forward, because he didn't really bring to fruition the vision from the coaching staff. On top of that, Nick Chubb got the basic plays of the playbook, so he can go over the pass protection. He can learn the calls. He can learn the rhythm. He can get himself acclimated to the verbiage of the playbook. So that's what Nick Chubb got when he reported for rookie minicamp. Pretty much sat him down, taught him the Cleveland Browns way, what's expected of him from here. Don't get in trouble, this and that. That's basically what's just happened to him the last 3 days. Not too much really football, even though he ran around and stuff. They wanted to see him run and things of that nature, but they didn't have a full team out there for them to really get a good evaluation. So basically what it was like, hey, I'm Nick Chubb, I'm here, I'm checking in for these 3 days. Tell me what you need me to do while I'm away from the facility. That's what just happened. Now let's pull out the stars, because that's what you have to do. I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to call Baker Mayfield a star. First round pick overall, he's playing this year. Y'all can say whatever you want to say. He might play first game. Baker Mayfield's playing. So let's just call that what it is. Hugh Jackson is the king of the spin. Hugh Jackson can spin with the best of them. He needs to be a politician. Hugh Jackson can take one thing and flip it over to the other. Now, let's go to the backfield. Look at what we're working with here for fantasy purposes. Now, you Carlos Hyde, like I said, he can do it all. He's jack of all trades, but he's not a master of anything. Duke Johnson is master of catching the ball out the backfield. Nick Chubb is a master at running in between the AB gaps. Still working on his catches, and Duke Johnson is working on his running between the AB gaps. Hyde can pretty much get by with all of it.
Now he's on a 1-year contract. Now when you look at Haley and when you look at Hugh, and you look at the organization, they're going to honor Hyde as far as being the veteran in the building. And they brought him in. Hyde starting. That's what I'm trying to say. So you can temper your expectations on Chubb right now as far as coming out day one being that blazer. Being in the, like I just said, your checkout lane. Chubb's not in the self-checkout. And he's not in the aisle where they buying groceries for 2 months. Hyde is in the 20 items or less aisle. His day's coming sooner rather than later. Hyde's on a 1-year deal. And if Chubb can really grow, now Chubb's better than Hyde in between the tackle. Let's just call that what it is. But they're going to honor Hyde, veteran leadership coming into the building. They're going to honor that. And they're going to honor it with Tyrod Taylor. Well, try to. They can say all they want to say. If that Baker Mayfield comes in, he picks that playbook up, and he's dishing that ball out, he's playing. Period. Jarvis Landry, they brought him in. So what we're trying to do is find the strength. Because when you find the strength, that's when you find out whether it's a traditional pro set, whether it's a traditional West Coast, whether it's a modified West Coast, whether it's an ace W personnel, ace meaning 2 tight ends, 12 personnel sets, ace W personnel offense, or whether it's read option, RPO, pistol, all of that falls under the same category. So now we got to try to figure out what offense they're running. I'm looking at this. I'm seeing Callaway. I don't know what happened. Coleman might not make it. I see Coleman being traded, but that's just me talking. Jarvis Landry in the building. Josh Gordon being the best wide receiver on the team. Callaway and Landry are already bumping heads. Callaway can play, but he's going to have to prove himself. You know, he tested diluted sample at the combine, so sorry, he got to prove himself. Jeff Janis showed up in the building, and Jeff Janis is more of your special teams ace. Now, Jeff Janis can have a 12, 15-year career in the NFL simply off special teams. Nothing wrong with that. It's just not fantasy relevant. But as far as him making a good living for his family, outstanding. I applaud him. I applaud Jeff Janis. Might not be what you really want. Then you got David Njoku down here ready to rip this thing wide open down the seams as your Y and U tight end, as your blocker, and as your pass catcher. So, to me, looking at this roster right now, I see more power from my wide receiver core as I do my running back. Meaning, I got to get my wide receivers the ball. So I got to make wide receivers my focus. Now remember, offensive coordinators, I know you hear it, you hear a lot when you're listening to it. You know, it's a 50-50 split, 50% run, 50% pass. But that's not really what it's saying in real NFL talk. 60% run and 40% pass could be 50-50 just for the simple fact that the passing game is more relevant than the running game. 60-40 is a 50-50. It's kind of hard to explain this. I had an offensive coordinator explain this to me. Just because you hear it's 50% pass, 50% running doesn't mean it was 50-50, like they ran 13 runs and passed the ball 13 times. No. That's not what it means in the NFL and when they say it on TV. It's different. But I'm going to go ahead and cut this short. I see Njoku, Jarvis Landry, and Gordon as your starting as your starting wide receivers. Well, Gordon as your tight end with his hand in the dirt. So now that opens up 11 personnel. Corey Coleman, and Callaway now are fighting for that extra spot. Callaway can overtake Coleman. It's just a matter of time. So if you got Coleman and you can't get rid of him, you just need to hope that he finds a new spot. He might get overlooked. Callaway can come in and take his spot, and it won't be right off the bat. We don't think. We anticipate Callaway having to prove himself first. David Njoku, I hated Hugh at first, but then I understood what he was doing. He was grooming him to block a little bit more. He wanted David Njoku to be more of a wide tight end. He didn't want him. He already knows he's a super stud at the metrics, and at catching the football. That's already known. What Njoku had to do was acclimate himself to blocking at the NFL level. And I didn't like that at first because I kind of wanted him to do like Evan Ingram, just bring him out, man, and just let him loose. But that would have hindered the future growth of David Njoku down the road. It was good what he did. Let him zero out, use him as a red zone threat, let him acclimate himself to pass blocking, pass and run blocking. So now he's better this year and more stable to keep Seth DeValve and Darren Fells off the field. That's what I saw in Hugh doing with David Njoku. So Njoku was basically like a redshirt year last year. He was acclimating himself to the NFL as far as blocking wise. Now that's behind him. Njoku should be ready to rock and roll. So if an owner in one of your dynasty leagues is looking down on Njoku, like I don't know, it's too crowded, there's room for Njoku. Like I said, I see Landry at week 7, 8, or 9 or so. Week 9. Let's just do week 9. Everybody healthy. Landry, Gordon, Callaway, Njoku, and Chubb, and Baker Mayfield. Modified spread offense. Getting ready to come downhill. Getting ready to sling the ball over the yard. Running game I can see more of a 55. What you want to do of 60, 40, 55, 45 split. Run pass options. I'm not run pass options. Passing maybe 55, 60% of the time. 60% of the time, 55, 60% of the time, and running the ball 40, 45% of the time. In other words, it's going to be more passing. They're going to light it up. This team is coming to light the scoreboard up. I know it sounds crazy. I know you're like, Typhoon, they just went 0-16. Todd Haley in the building. Tight end will be used. The strength is Josh Gordon, Jarvis Landry, Antonio Callaway, David Njoku, Nick Chubb. Baker Mayfield gives this team the best chance at success. If this offensive line can do what it really needs to do, and like I said, when you come down here, let me just give you another look at this. You kind of see the transactions that they did this year. What did they bring in offensive line wise? Oh, Joe Thomas gone. That was huge. Chris Hubbard agreed to a 5-year contract. I think he's the left tackle now. Let's see, Chris Hubbard. Where's Hubbard at? Yeah, I'm sorry, he's right tackle. Sean Coleman is the one holding up Baker Mayfield. Brought in Darren Fells, good run support blocker, and can run routes too. Darren Fells is a good player. Traded Deshaun Kaiser to the Packers. Now Deshaun Kaiser to the Packers, that's perfect. That is perfect for him. If Aaron Rodgers goes down this year, there will be a difference in Deshaun Kaiser to Brett Huntley. That's an upgrade. That was an upgrade. If he gets enough time to really get in and acclimate himself. All right, let me go ahead and shut this thing down. Just wanted to let you guys know a little bit. Just pull back the transparency here. Rosterresource.com. Like I said, look here. Depth charts on all the teams. Let's go and pull up Tennessee right quick. Let's just see what Tennessee has to offer.
Look at Tennessee. Marcus Mariota, Blaine Gabbert backing him up. Derrick Henry, Deion Lewis. Only three running backs on the. This is where C.J. Anderson can show up. This is a C.J. Anderson spot. When they come out and look at this, we need some help. Jamal Charles, they need help. That's the running back situation. So you Derrick Henry on is you thought Deion Lewis will hurt you, and you got another one coming. But I don't want to get into too much there. But this is what you do. Kind of sit back, pull up roster resource or whatever, Our Lads or whatever you use. Roto World, depth chart, a lot of depth charts out there. I like this one because the color coded makes it a little exciting. Then it gives you your first team All Pros, your second team All Pros. It kind of then you look at your rookies in yellow. Yeah, it kind of makes it a little easier to read. But the Fantasy Typhoon at hotmail.com. Make sure you give me email there, mailbag. You ask me questions or concerns you want to come write for us. Fantasy Typhoon on Twitter. And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel here. Make sure you like, comment, and make sure you give me a lot of comments, man. Let me hear your feedback, folks. Let me hear from you. And you know the motto: don't just win, dominate.